All right, coming in at number 9 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings, a player that the more I watch, the higher on him I get. It's Berkly Catton of the Spokane Chiefs.
Ross, Berkly Catton is such an exciting player to watch. I mean, the way he's able to deceive defenders and slice through the neutral zone into the offensive zone with ease is one of the most impressive attributes that he has, and he does it pretty much better than anyone in this draft. And that's saying something. We've covered a couple players in our recent profiles that have similar skills, but no one does it like Berkly Catton, in my opinion. With the Spokane Chiefs in 68 games, 54 goals, 62 assists, good for 116 points in the playoffs. He had 4 assists in 4 games. The Chiefs, not the strongest team in the WHL, but Berkly Catton, he was able to make hay while the sun was shining because he was able to still put up monster points despite being on a weaker team.
Monster points to the tune of 116 in 68 games. This guy is a machine off the rush is what you notice first and foremost. The way that he can either pick corners or dangle or pass and find the open man. There's a reason he was 4th in the WHL in scoring, the only in the top 4 without an NHL affiliation. This guy is a monster offensively. And I think it's translatable skill too that we're going to see dominate the NHL for years to come as an exciting highlight reel driven type player. Chris Peters has him at 5 on his list. Corey Pronman at 6. McKean's at 7. EP at 8. Wheeler at 8. Bob McKenzie at 11. And Craig Button at 14. A lot of what I'm reading about Berkly Catton, who stands 5'10", 175 pounds, and is a January birthday, a left shot centerman who might be a left winger at the NHL level, but if he can stick at center, the value skyrockets. If he was 6'4", Pilsy, we'd be talking about him with Caden Lidstrom, that part of the draft, because everything that I'm reading again, Caden Lidstrom, Berkly Catton, they're both Western kids. They grew up playing together, and at every level, Berkly Catton outscored Caden Lidstrom. So yeah, there's the projectability of being 6'3" and more likely to stick at center. But if you have seen year after year after year, these two players go head to head, and if one is always ahead of the other, I just don't understand that now we're drafting them all of a sudden. And it's not just a 1 to 2 gap. Like some people have a 5, 6, 7 player gap in between these. I just don't see it. And I think that Berkly Catton has been undervalued here. Now, as I pull up my rankings, I think that he's right. He's basically right here, but that I think is more of a testament to how good the players are in front of him. It's amazing to me what talent is at the top of this draft. If you're the Calgary Flames, who just not a mock draft, but they're drafting 9th, you're laughing if you get a player of this talent.
Oh, absolutely. Ross and EP's draft guide in their scout chatter, I always try to pick one quote that rings most true to me. One scout said, "He's the complete package in a sub 6-foot body, excelled on a weak Spokane team, and oozes character." Like, if that number on his height had a 6 instead of a 5, Ross, you mentioned 6'4", I bet even if he was 6'1", teams would have him way higher in their rankings, because with the way he's able to maneuver into the offensive zone, if you added a little bit more height on him to give him a bit more range and a little bit of more weight to allow him to play a more physical game off the puck, and when he gets stuck in the corners or in a one-on-one puck battle, which right now is probably his biggest weakness, is he doesn't have that size and that physical game to really battle like that. You're looking at such a attractive prospect. But regardless, he's not 6 feet, so we shouldn't talk or dream about what it would be like if he was. At 5'10", he's still incredible. And who knows, maybe he gets to 6 feet. He's not that far off, still got room to grow. But at 5'10", David St. Louis from EP, the examples he shows, and this is something that I really noticed once David mentioned it, is he holds the puck close to his hip. Like a lot of the time, you standard hockey player, you're going to have the puck out in front of you. Catton holds it close to his hip so that he's able to draw not just one defender, but sometimes the whole group of defenders collapse toward him because he draws that puck in close. And then they think, okay, he doesn't have a lot of room to maneuver. Let's all get a stick in there and he's going to have nowhere to go. He'll just toe drag and sidestep. And then with that straight line speed he has, he was doing that move over and over. Like David St. Louis called it, here's his move. And then he would show him do that and then get a shot off at the faceoff dot time and time again. Like his ability to do that is just so incredible. He's a deceptive player. There's so many things that EP likes about him. They awarded him third best transition forward, fourth best hands, and fourth best straight line skater, and fifth best offensive forward. So whether you think he's just a one-dimensional guy or you're worried about that height and size, in my opinion, there's just so many other factors of his game and the attributes of his game that are good. He does better or almost as good as anyone else in the draft, makes him just a really impressive player for me. And Ross, I see first line upside with this guy. Like, I feel like if he ended up being a second/middle six guy, that would be on the lower end of where I would project him.
And not only does he put up points in bunches, he was also, according to Scott Wheeler of The Athletic, one of the top penalty killers in the WHL this past season. Not only defensively, but this guy's creating offense while shorthanded with his great rush ability. He had 6 more points than the next top player on the Spokane Chiefs, Connor Roulette. And then after that, there's a 45-point gap for the next player. This was his team, and it's unfortunate they got swept in the first round of the playoffs. He only had 4 playoff games, 4 assists, no goals, and his goaltenders had a tough time stopping the puck. But he has shown internationally that he can also play on stacked teams when everything's together. Obviously, he didn't get to go to the U18s this year, but when he was the captain at the U17s last year, 12 points in 7 games. So he's a guy he's an offensive weapon, can play well defensively. I mean, I like EP's shades of. They've got Troy Terry. I think if he ends up at the wing, he's more of a Troy Terry. They also have Logan Cooley. Maybe if he ends up at a center, I think he's probably a winger. I think so. And the industry chatter for EP, someone said he's not a center, and it doesn't matter. He's still top 10 talent. So I think that for me, he's going to grow to be a left winger at the NHL level, but one that if you want speed and if you want IQ, this is a player that you should consider drafting in the top 10. And if your team just did, Pilsy, what would you say they have to look forward to next year and in the years to come?
Well, he's such a dynamic player, Ross, especially if he stays with the Chiefs in the WHL. You got to hope they're going to bolster that lineup for him. So get him with some more dynamic players, especially on his line. I think 116 points might be low projection for him if you put a top line guy with him. I could spin zone it either way, Ross. If he goes to the wing, then you're saying, okay, this is a guy with his straight line speed. He's even if defenders drive him wide, he's going to be able to get by them and then dipsy doodle back to the middle of the ice. So I could see that. But I actually would love if he could stay at center. I know the size is tough, but if he stays at center, then teams aren't going to be able to confine him to 1/3 of the ice as it goes east-west wise. Like if he stays at center, they're going to have no idea how he's going to be attacking that blue line, and he's going to get through with ease. So there's so many different things to like about Catton here, and I don't think it comes as too much of a surprise here, Ross. Berkly Catton is my second 5-star player here. If the Ottawa Senators decide, look, the crop of defensemen, the ones we had, like maybe Zeev Buium and Perek are the top 2 guys, and Lev Shunov, I think, is going to go to either Anaheim or Chicago. So leaving you with Dickinson, Yakemchuk, Vasiliev, those guys, and they're thinking, those aren't the top level defensemen we want. We want a forward, and Berkly Catton's there. I think that swing on Catton is going to be worth every penny when you give him the time to grow and develop a little more. So Berkly Catton at 7 for the Sens for me, I would be very, very happy with.
Yeah, you'd want to rush up to the stage and get Berkly Catton, and then focus on a defenseman later on, either in 25 or 39, early second round. But if you have the upside of a Berkly Catton, and let's say Ginla's off the board, because to me, I've got a Ginla by just a hair ahead of him, just with the
Same.
late birthday, the untapped potential, and all that. The Ginla would be one spot ahead of me for Berkly Catton, but this guy is electrifying. And if your team just drafted him, you're going to see a lot of highlights on social media over the course of the next 2 years, 3 years, until he's an everyday player and a star, future star in the National Hockey League. 5 stars for you. That's where I was trying to get at there.
Yes, sir.
8.4 average rank. Berkly Catton comes in at 9 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings. For more profiles, go check us out on YouTube.